Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Big Ten Talk with Emily. I'm joined today by this is actually the first time I've had a guest that has repeated, has come back a second time. So it must mean you're like incredibly cool, which you are. But Mike from We Live for Saturdays, the podcast, which we'll of course talk about while we are together this morning. But how are you doing this morning, Mike?
I'm doing awesome, Emily. It's a super
Good.
busy week, but it's the penultimate week of the season of college football.
Right.
We wait our whole off season, and then it's just over in the blink of an eye.
It is pretty wild how quickly it has gone.
It's been nuts, and it's part of that's like life stuff, things going fast, but like most of that is just once you get into football season, this happens every year, and we go from I feel like I was just at the opener in August.
Right. I know it does. It goes by wildly quickly. And the last time you and I spoke was the week of the Penn State game, right? So Oregon versus State. That's right. That was a really good weekend because like Ohio State traveled to Seattle to play UW. Lots of big games that weekend. And I remember talking to you after that weekend of football and chatting about those games. And so the last time you and I connected to talk about football, James Franklin was still employed at Penn State, and now he's a coach of a different school.
The last time we talked, James Franklin was a national title contender at Penn State, and now he is the coach for Virginia Tech. So life comes at you fast.
Life comes at you so fast. I have to ask, I'm surprised we actually didn't at least touch or talk. I know we talked a little briefly on the timeline last week in preparation for Minnesota versus Oregon, but how are you feeling about your Gophers overall and the season that they have had now that it is winding down and things are coming to an end?
Well, I'm feeling a little worse after that beatdown your Oregon Ducks gave us on Friday. That was not the most pleasant experience of my life. I don't turn games off, Emily. In the middle of the fourth quarter, I was like, I'm done. I'm done. And it's like all credit to Oregon. Oregon's a great team. They're going to be a playoff team, I believe. We'll talk about that as we go along. But Minnesota just didn't play well. There were we had a bye week before we played you, and we had 3 blown coverages in the first drive. And I don't mean like your guys beat us one-on-one. I mean like there was no one covering the receiver. So it's been a year for Minnesota fans of some like high highs, but some really low lows.
Yeah.
And like we're 6-4, so I can't, totally complain. But the losses have mostly been really painful. Ohio State, Iowa, Oregon, all pretty lopsided. So not the best season overall, but at the same time, Minnesota's still played some good ball at times. Really, it comes down to, Emily, when Darius Taylor is healthy, Minnesota looks better. And now I know we still got beat by Oregon with a healthy Darius Taylor, but Oregon's in a little different category right now. They're a true national title contender. But when Darius Taylor is fully healthy, Minnesota is a really dangerous team to play for most teams. When he's not, we're not.
Yeah.
It's that simple as that. Like, we have other guys who can make plays, but he's kind of the guy who makes the whole offense go.
Right.
So we need him to be at his best to kind of be at our best. So I think, it's one of those things where a lot of Gopher fans are really down on the program right now. But there are years I would have killed to be 6-4.
Right.
Yeah. Killed to be 6-4. We should, in my opinion, we should have a good chance to win the last 2 games, get to 8-4.
Totally.
No, PJ Fleck doesn't lose bowl games. So 9 wins is still on the table. That's still a possibility. And I think a lot of Gopher fans, I would tell them to step away from the ledge. Yes, the losses have been bad. Yes, getting beat by Iowa like that was truly painful. I mean, I was there in person. Emily, I drove 10 hours round trip to watch that game.
Wow. I was about to ask you if you turned off that game. I didn't realize you.
No, I was there. I was there with my dad.
Did you stay for the whole game?
We left in the middle of the fourth quarter.
Oh, okay.
It was
wow, yikes.
And that's not normally something I ever do. So it's been a year with some weird things, but I knew going into this year Minnesota's a really young team with a freshman quarterback.
Right.
So I knew it was going to be up and down. I think the injuries to Darius have just exacerbated that a little bit. But I still am optimistic. I mean, I think Minnesota has a good chance, will be favored against Wisconsin, and has a very good chance against Northwestern in a neutral site game at Wrigley Field this weekend. So
Absolutely. I
to me,
totally
it
agree.
really, to me, it really depends how they finish. If Minnesota wins the next 2 games, then I can say it wasn't the best year, but at least it was, it was a decent enough year. If they lose the next 2 games, then we have some more negative conversations that we have to have in the offseason.
Remind me, what was your guys' record last year?
Last year we're at 8-5.
8-5. Okay. All right. I was
Yeah.
wondering if this was like a step in the right direction in terms of last year, or if
No, pretty much treading water right now.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I totally agree. I mean, we'll talk about it when we get to the Minnesota game for this week, but I do think that Minnesota has a good chance at winning these last 2 games. And then, like you said, you guys do well in bowl games. So I think, a 9-win season is definitely something to be happy about. I know some people might not be totally thrilled about it, but it's so interesting.
Wanted, but here's what I'm going to say, Emily, about it.
Yeah.
If you can't enjoy a 9-win season, then you're doing college football wrong. Then you probably shouldn't cheer for the Gophers. You should probably cheer for Ohio State.
Right.
If 9 wins is unacceptable to you, and that's never going to be okay ever, then you're cheering for the wrong team, or maybe even the wrong sport. Maybe college football isn't for you.
Right. It is interesting, like the general conversations and narratives we hear from college football fans. It's like there are absolutely tiers of teams, and we know this. We talk about it all the time. Whereas, if the top tier if they lose more than 2 games, a lot of fans view that as like a failure of a season. I mean, even now with the landscape of
I just think that's so short-sighted. It's like we don't get that many times around this globe. You got to enjoy it where you can get the enjoyment.
Right. And with that same tier of teams, it's if they don't make the playoffs, then it's a failure of a season. So it's you have to win almost all your games, don't lose more than 2, make playoffs, and beat your rival to kind of constitute a successful season.
And otherwise, they didn't have any fun.
Right. Exactly. Otherwise, it wasn't it may as well not have happened.
I don't get it. I don't get that at all. Maybe it's because I'm not an Ohio State fan that I don't get that. But
right.
To me, it's John and I have a running joke on our show about how they fired James Franklin basically for going 10-2 every year. And we're like, oh man, that would suck. Would hate that.
Yeah.
Be terrible.
And it's so interesting because when you do talk to other schools or you talk to other fan bases where they have that mindset, which really goes back to how college football used to be. That used to be across the board.
When there were no scholarship limits, the best teams were the best by a lot.
Exactly.
Not
yes. So it's so fascinating. Everything is broken into tiers, and your team's success depends on the tier that they fall into and their expectations. And anything outside of that, even if they drop to tier 2 in any given season, it wasn't fun. It wasn't a good time. We didn't learn much. We actually hated everything about it. So it's fascinating. It is, because I try to catch myself in that mindset. Lately, all I have been focused about are these last 2 games for Oregon. Just get through these last 2 games, and then I'll think about playoffs. I haven't even begun to think about the playoff run or how they might do and those different matchups. I need them to beat USC and UW, partly because I hate USC and UW, and I talk too much crap to those 2 fan bases to have Oregon lose to either of them. So it's I need these final 2 games, and then I'll start thinking about playoffs.
Yeah, the thing about college football, it's unique in that it's a regular season sport. Yes, the postseason is fun. I love the playoffs. I love bowl season. It's a good time. I call it the most wonderful time of the year.
Totally.
But the regular season is what college football is about. Yeah. It's about rivalries. It's about being on campus. It's about the band and the student section and the cheer squad and the dance team and everything.
Yeah.
That's the pageantry.
Absolutely,
of college football. So the postseason's great. I love it. I wouldn't get rid of it.
Right.
But I do think that the thing that makes college football better than any other sport on God's green earth, in my opinion, is that it's not a postseason sport. It's a regular season sport. And every single Saturday is a big deal.
Absolutely. I totally agree. All right, so we're going to get into these fun and some of them are exciting and interesting games heading into week 13 of Big Ten play. Like you said, the regular season's winding down, so there's not very many more of these when we think about the bigger picture. But we're going to go ahead and start with USC and Oregon since it's kind of like it's going to be the game day one. It's going to be the big one at 12:30 p.m. on Saturday. I would love to hear your thoughts on this game. I know we have talked about USC before, particularly their fan base, but I would love to get your thoughts on kind of how you're feeling about this game, especially you just recently watched almost an entire Oregon game and were able to see how they play at home and kind of that offense coming back together. And it's not supposed to rain this weekend. Oregon's been playing in like rain and monsoon like level weather these last few weeks prior to Minnesota. Yep. So what are your general thoughts on this game? What are you thinking?
USC, I will say, I have to eat crow. They're better than I thought they were going to be this year.
Unfortunately, right?
Jaden Mayava was bad last year, but as bad as he was last year, he's that good this year. I mean, he's a great quarterback. He can create. He's got a big arm. He's accurate. He's completing over 70% of his passes, all that kind of stuff. Mekhi Lemon is the best wide receiver not named Jeremiah Smith in college football. Full stop. I mean, he's unbelievable. He's good for like 125 to 150 yards a game. Like no big thing. Nobody can cover him. It doesn't matter what you do. He's going to get his. You know, they've got Jacoby Lane also at receiver. They got Lake McCree at tight end. Those guys are dynamic too. They can make plays. And finally, Lincoln Riley realized, it took him a couple years, but he realized he plays in the Big Ten now, and you have to run the ball.
Right.
You have to run the ball. That's something you have to do if you're going to win games in the Big Ten. He thought he didn't have to do that last year, and he lost a lot of games.
He did.
This year, he's run the ball a lot more, and they've been a lot better.
Yeah.
You know, on the flip side, USC has a really great secondary. I think that will be the matchup. One of the matchups of the game for me will be that the USC secondary against the Oregon mash unit of receivers. Do we know? Let me say right off the bat before I go any forward, Kenyon Sadiq came back last week. Do we know anything about DeCorian Moore or any word on if we're getting anybody else back?
Nothing on DeCorian Moore or Gary Bryant Jr. as far as now.
Yeah. So that's a disadvantage for Oregon for sure. That said, the thing about Oregon offensively, defensively, they're terrifying. They have the best secondary I've seen, I think, this year. I think, well, either them or Ohio State. It's close, secondary-wise. And the best pair of defensive ends in the Big Ten, and Uiagalelei, excuse me, and Tui Odi, which I thought I've been saying Tui Odi all year. It's Tui Odi. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I like my pronunciation better. But we'll go with Tui Odi. And then, you know, so that defense is, I think Oregon's ranked second in the country in defense right now. I mean, it's just a terrifying defensive unit. And then you go to the offense. And the thing about Oregon that makes them so dangerous is that they have, I think, 3 or 4 running backs averaging like 6.5 to 8 yards a carry.
Right.
You're running for 235 yards a game or something like that. You know, have pushed 300 a couple times.
Right.
They have unbelievable running backs to the point where the guy, I forget now, the guy who transferred to you to play running back, but he had to.
Hughes.
Yeah. And he redshirted because he couldn't get on the field.
Right.
Yeah. Because that's how good Oregon's running backs are. Everybody thought he was going to be the guy. And then it turned out he was the 3rd best running back on the roster. So Oregon has an embarrassment of riches that way. Plus, I believe Oregon has the best offensive line in college football. I thought it was Iowa, then I saw you two play. I think it's Oregon. I think Oregon's got it was those two at the top. I think Oregon's got the best O-line in college football. And I just don't think USC is tough up front yet.
Right.
I think they can be pushed around. I think you can run the ball on them. I also think that Jaden Mayava is going to be running for his life.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem is that USC can't get pressure. They have the 3rd lowest pressure rate in the entire country. So when you fade back to pass, The quarterback can sit and take his time and find his receiver. And as we saw last week with Dante Moore, when you give Dante Moore time, he will pick you apart.
Right.
Absolutely. So I think this is a great game. It's the game of the weekend, no doubt about it. I'm actually considering hosting a watch along party for all of you out there. So if you want to come to We Live for Saturday, I might do one during that game.
Oh, that would be fun.
I'm leaning towards doing that because it's after the Gopher game. People are like, do a watch party for the Gopher game. And I'm like, I can't be seen like that, Emily. I can't be seen on camera in that condition, the condition I'm in when I'm watching. I'm pacing and screaming at the TV and pumping my fist. And I have to give the dog treats every like 5-10 minutes so the dog isn't worried. So the dog thinks it's a good thing. I call them touchdown treats. And now the dog loves football. And now the dog can recognize football's on TV. And anytime there's football, my dog looks at me like, so
that is so funny. I don't blame you. I mean, I think I can understand that. Absolutely.
Yeah. But that's a roundabout way of saying I don't think USC has the beef to hang with Oregon for 4 quarters. I think it's something like USC 35, Oregon 24 or 27. But you're the Oregon fan. I've talked a lot. How do you see this breaking down?
So I agree. I think USC is definitely better this season than I anticipated them to be, and definitely better than they were last season. Their offense is explosive. And so we're looking at 2 pretty explosive offenses in this game. However, USC is going on the road. They haven't necessarily impressed me when they do travel. I know they got that win in Nebraska. That was a little surprising.
Yeah, when Nebraska broke his leg halfway through the game.
Exactly. And Nebraska really ran that game for like the first half.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, like either like the halftime or the second half adjustments we're seeing USC make. And the same could be said with Iowa. Iowa was running that game against USC last week for the first time.
They had them.
Totally had them. But I know I had read after the fact that Iowa had like 2-3 injuries going into the second half, and that kind of really changed things up, and USC just took advantage of it. Regardless, I absolutely have faith in Oregon's defense to be able to handle USC. I think USC does make some plays. I think they're able to score. I'm not necessarily worried about that. Like, I wouldn't be worried about that if I was a USC fan, but kind of like what you said, I don't necessarily see USC hanging around for an entire game on the road against a team like Oregon. So I have this game at 35-24 Ducks.
Oh, so we're basically the same.
Yeah, I know. I wrote them down beforehand, all my scores, and you beat me to it. Absolutely. But I'm excited for this game. Like I said, besides UW, I really don't care for USC, so this is like a secondary rivalry game to me. But it's still fun. I don't know. I haven't like necessarily engaged with the fans much at all this week, but they're usually loud and they're usually talkative, and I imagine that will be the case come Saturday.
Now that I have a podcast, I don't talk as much trash on Twitter because I know when I'm wrong, I'm going to hear about it.
Yeah, I get that. I get that totally. That makes sense. And then we are taking a drop in terms of entertainment and going to Rutgers at Ohio State.
I mean, to be fair, Rutgers' offense is pretty good.
Yeah.
Ethan Kaliak-Madison took him 5 years to figure out how to play quarterback, but he got there. He's very good. He's got a big arm. Ian Strong's a fantastic wide receiver. Raymond's a really good running back. They throw the ball. They throw a lot, take a lot of deep shots, and they complete a lot of them. So you have to have your DBs have to be awake when you're playing against them.
Right.
That said, this Rob Smith defense is the worst defense in the Big Ten, probably.
I would have to agree with that. And Ohio State's defense is probably the best in the country.
Ohio State's defense is not just the best defense in the country, in my opinion. It's one of the best college football defenses I've ever seen.
Ever. Yeah. It's really tough.
All-timer. Caleb Downs is as good at safety as anyone I've ever seen play the position. He reminds me of my man Antoine Winfield when he was at Minnesota. Like, Caleb Downs is just everywhere, and he knows what the play is in advance, and he's going to diagnose it, and he's going to be there around the ball.
Yeah.
And guys like that, you just can't, you can't talk enough about how important that is.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't see there being any way that Rutgers keeps this game close outside of maybe like the first quarter I'll give them. And I just think overall Ohio State, plus it's at home, it's in Columbus.
In this year, yeah.
Overall, Ohio State is just obviously the better team on both sides of the ball. And I have them winning 48-10.
Yeah, the problem with Rutgers is I don't know if they're going to be able to beat Ohio State or block Ohio State, I mean. And if they can't block them to throw those deep shots they like taking downfield, you need to be able to block up front.
Right.
And I'm not convinced that Rutgers can block Ohio State.
No.
So the good news for Rutgers is that it looks like Carnell Tate is not playing again, and Jeremiah Smith maybe isn't playing.
This is true. Yeah, this is true.
So, maybe you stack up to stop the run, but I don't know. They still have Max Clare. They still have Brandon Innes. They still have guys who are dangerous on the outside, even if they don't have those top two receivers, because Ohio State they just have a fistful of wide receivers all the time.
Yep.
All the time. Ever since Ryan Day got there, he has a pocket full of wide receivers, and that's just how it is. So I think Ohio State will be okay there. Yeah, I think it's going to be something like the Ohio State Buckeyes 42, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights 6.
Okay. Yeah. Love it. Pretty comparable. And then we're moving on to your game. Minnesota at Northwestern is what I have written down next. Like you said, Wrigley Field. How are you feeling about this game?
Well, first I'm going to say football shouldn't be played on baseball fields.
No.
The sight lines are terrible, and the turf is too soft. It's too soft for football. It works for baseball. It's too soft for football, for a contact sport where you need to, be able to make those crazy cuts the way you do in football that are a little different than baseball in how you're moving laterally and stuff like that. So I hate that aspect of it, but I do like that it's a neutral site game because Minnesota's been bad on the road this year.
Yeah.
And in Chicago, with as many Minnesota alumni as are, I think there will be as many, maybe more Minnesota fans than there will be Northwestern fans.
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
Because Minnesota fans are like, oh, weekend trip to Chicago. Absolutely. Let's go. Pack the car. See you there. So I think there'll be a decent Gopher crowd for this game. And so Northwestern doesn't really have a home field advantage anyway, because they don't have, and this close to finals, the students aren't going to the game.
Exactly.
Northwestern.
Not a Northwestern, no.
Here's what Northwestern does well. They run the ball pretty well, and Caleb Kolamafe, when Cam Porter got hurt earlier in the year, I thought they were screwed. I thought they were out of luck. Kolamafe is a better running back than Cam Porter was. So he's a good running back. Their defensive line is pretty good, and their defense as a whole isn't bad. And that's the strength of that team. That said, they have one wide receiver in Griffin Wilde, and that's it.
Yeah.
None of the rest of those guys can make plays. Preston Stone is, I think, the worst starting quarterback in the Big Ten. It's either him or two guys at Purdue. Preston Stone, he will throw balls up for grabs. In the beginning of the year, they got crushed because they had him throwing too much. Now they only have him throw 10 to 15 times a game. But I think when he does throw, look for Minnesota to try to make plays and maybe get an interception if he makes a bet, and force him to a bad read or something like that. So I know a lot of people are picking Northwestern coming off the Michigan game, but here's what I have to say about that. Michigan had 5 turnovers, missed 2 field goals, and Northwestern still lost.
Yep.
5 turnovers, and they missed
2
field goals. So that's like 7 turnovers.
Yeah.
Basically. And Northwestern still lost. They're not explosive offensively. So I think what I said on my pod about this game is that I think you have 2 teams who are struggling, to find themselves at times this year. And in that situation, I trust Minnesota more than I trust Northwestern because I think the talent level is a little higher. And also, as good as Caleb Kolamafe is, he's a good player. He's not Darius Taylor.
Right.
And I think you saw last week, even in a losing effort, Darius Taylor, when he's healthy, is terrifying.
Absolutely.
I mean, he can make you miss in a phone booth, and he can also run 3 guys over, sometimes on the same play. And he can catch the ball out of the backfield, do all that kind of stuff. So I think this will be a game where Minnesota looks to throw the ball to their running backs and their other playmakers in space, guys like Lemeki Brockington and Javon Tracy and especially Jalen Smith. I think this could be a big Jalen Smith game because I think athletically, I'm not sure how well that Northwestern secondary is going to match up with us. So I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be hard fought. Northwestern is a tough, well-coached team. I give David Braun a lot of credit for what he's done. He inherited a tough situation, And now he's going to go bowling 2 out of 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's pretty good for what he inherited,
is.
for sure. I think he's a good football coach. I think Northwestern got kind of lucky with him having an interim that could just be the coach and do a good job. But I just think Minnesota is a little more talented. And I think the Gophers are hungry for this. I think they need it badly. They don't want to, if you lose this game, then you go 7-5, then it's just like last year.
Right.
You win this game, you have a chance to win next week, and then you build for bowl season, you have a chance to win 9 games. So
totally.
I do think there's a lot on the line, and I think Drake Lindsey has improved from the beginning of the year. I know the stats don't always show it, but his poise and decision making is a lot better. Against Oregon, obviously the yards per attempt weren't great, but he was accurate.
Right.
He hit guys when they were open.
This is true. Yes.
Always open.
Yes, very true. I mean, I'm with you. I think it's great that this game for Minnesota is a neutral site. And I do think Minnesota will be hungrier for this game. I think they're going to want it more. And I think you guys are the better team and will have the skills to take advantage of the mistakes that Preston Stone makes. So honestly, I gave the edge to Minnesota even a couple of days ago when I was looking at the game slate this weekend. And I think Minnesota pulls off the win 23-20.
Right on. Yeah, I have Minnesota 27, Northwestern 17.
Okay, love it.
I think Minnesota's going to score on defense. I have a feeling.
Yeah,
or get a turnover that's close to scoring that gives the offense a short field. And yeah, so it's going to be a slugfest, but I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a close first half into the third quarter. I think it's going to be really close. So yeah, Minnesota's got to play smart. Drake Lindsey generally, knock on wood, takes care of the ball. So I think as long as we don't do what Michigan did and turn it over 5 times, I think we'll have a good shot.
Yeah, that was just an ugly game.
That was so
yeah. But moving on to Michigan State at Iowa. So what are your thoughts on this? And I will say, I feel like the complete I don't even want to say regression, but this is the type of season Michigan State has been a bit surprising to me personally. I didn't think they would make a huge jump in progress, but I didn't think it would be as bad as it is.
No, we like to joke that John cursed them because every year we do the pod, John does a thing where he picks one quarterback before the year.
Yeah.
And it's always a death sentence. Last year it was Hudson Card for Purdue. He's like, Hudson Card's going to be all summer. He was like, he's going to be so good. And this year it was Aiden Childs, and he's like, he's going to be really good. Aiden Childs isn't even the quarterback anymore. He's been benched.
Wow. Yikes.
So whoever John picks to be the quarterback of the year is a good bet to fail. So I'm going to watch that. That's a harbinger. It's a thing we have on the show. I'm going to be interested to see how that develops as things go on. But yeah, it's been tough for Sparty. 7 losses in a row.
Yep.
Haven't won a Big Ten game yet.
No.
The offense is a lost, and they turn the ball over too much. And the defense has been abysmal. But I will say the defense has played better the last couple of weeks. They've played better. They played better in general. They still haven't been great, but they've been better under Joe Rossi, finally a little bit, which I take some schadenfreude out of that because Joe Rossi was our defensive coordinator. And how did it work out going to East Lansing, Joe? Not great. Not great yet, huh? Not so great. I think Sparty can do some things, but I don't know if they're a good enough team. In fact, I know they're not a good enough team to hang with Iowa. Iowa's the best 6-4 team I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're actually
they have an amazing offensive line. They have a great running game. Their defense is elite. I think they're number 6 in the nation in defense.
And what was it like? They've lost 4 games.
Those are coaching failures. Those aren't like talent failures. Those are coaching failures.
But like all their losses have been for a combined 15 points, right?
Yeah.
So when they've lost, they
had Oregon. Oh man, they had you guys.
Yeah.
I thought there was no way I was losing that game at halftime. But yeah, they're tough. They're really tough.
They are a very tough team.
I think they take out their frustrations this week. I think they beat Sparty badly. I think Iowa scores on defense, maybe special teams. I'm talking Old Testament kind of beat down. I've got the Iowa Hawkeyes 41, Sparty 6.
I have 35-10.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I think Iowa beats Michigan State totally easily for them because, like we said, Iowa, I do think, is the better team, and
And they
Michigan
have a
State is just struggling. And it's like, okay, I haven't watched every Michigan State game, but it's like just talking about them week after week, and even with their fans, it's like they're not even dialed in
no.
enough to compete in games like this.
No, and the games they've competed in, they've come up short. So
Yeah.
they either have been non-competitive or they've been losing regardless, no matter what. And you
Right.
go to Kiddick at 2:30. I've seen it. The crowd's going to be drunk and ready to go.
Right.
That stadium, the seating is like it's like a high school stadium. The seating's like right on top of the field.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get belligerent Iowa fans. So yeah, I don't. It's not a good situation for Sparty to walk into. I don't think.
No. Do you think Michigan State fires Jonathan Smith at the end of the season?
Not if they have a brain. Like I'm sorry, there's too many coaching openings.
Yeah,
And it's been
there are.
2 years. You're only giving Jonathan Smith 2 years?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Michigan State is a poorly run athletic department.
Right.
Because they did the same thing with Mark D'Antonio. Mark D'Antonio had like 2 bad years out of 4. And they were like, there's the door. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Mark D'Antonio won the Big Ten. He made a 4-team playoff. He was unbelievable at Sparty. And when they fired him, they've made bad decisions since then.
Yeah, they have.
And they've been the underachieving clowns, the same clowns that they were under John L. Smith before Mark D'Antonio.
Yeah.
So
it would be a really tough year for them to join the coaching carousel. Not that they're going to be competing for the same type of coaches that are gravitating towards like Auburn and LSU, Florida, Penn State.
Maybe not, but James Franklin's off the board now.
Yeah, that's true.
James Franklin, if I was Michigan State and I wanted to make a change, that would have been who I was looking at as somebody who was realistic, gettable on the board. He's gone now. He's at Virginia Tech.
Exactly.
So this is not the year you want to be shopping for a new coach. A lot of guys are going to get raises in the offseason who don't deserve them because people don't want to have to be shopping for a new coach this year.
Absolutely.
My coach might be one of them, just so he doesn't get poached. I wouldn't surprise me if he gets his annual raise to go from $7.5 million to $8 million or whatever he's at now.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting. I'm excited to see how it plays off in the postseason and off season.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what changes, if any, happen at Iowa or Michigan State after the year. Any coaching changes, what they do in the transfer portal, stuff like that. It'll be because Michigan State obviously is desperate, and Iowa has a team. Iowa should have been a college football playoff contender this year. They should have. They shouldn't have lost to Iowa State, and they should have won at least one of those 3 other games they lost.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's been a big missed opportunity for them. So it'll be interesting to see what Ferentz does to fix that in the offseason. But yeah, Michigan State's in trouble. I don't think Iowa has any problem here. I don't think this game is ever close.
No, I agree. All right, the next game, Michigan at Maryland. So Maryland started off really hot. I think we probably talked about it when we connected last, because I think they were still playing relatively well.
They were 4-0 and they blew out Wisconsin before we knew how bad Wisconsin was.
This is true. And then it has just not been good for them since. And then we talked about the game last week against Northwestern for Michigan, which was just an ugly, ugly game. However, I do think Michigan is resilient enough. I'm not saying they're necessarily going to be super dominant in this one, but I definitely think they're resilient enough to pull off this win against Maryland.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan's just got to run the ball.
Yeah.
Bryce Underwood is still a freshman from a decision-making standpoint.
Yes, absolutely.
He will throw the ball when he should not throw the ball into coverages you should not throw the ball into.
Right.
He's a freshman, a true freshman, not even a redshirt. So I'm not even hating on him. But Michigan, with the running game they have, they were playing Russian roulette throwing the ball last week. They should have been running it like every down except for 3rd and long.
Right.
Because Northwestern couldn't do anything about it. And Jordan Marshall, even with Justice Haynes out, Jordan Marshall's a fantastic running back. They have a great offensive line, especially from a run blocking perspective. So Michigan's just got to run the ball and not, yes, you can throw it some, but Bryce Underwood at this stage in his development should be throwing it 15 times a game, not 30.
Yeah.
Not 25 or 30, 15 times on well-scripted plays that you feel good about going in. You know what I mean? Like, I just think there's too much on his plate right now, and that's why you're seeing some of the mistakes he's making. So I would look for Michigan to really run the ball early, especially in this game, and try to establish that, and then let Bryce take some play action shots down the field and stuff like that. Yeah, the Terps, they just aren't as good at receiver as they usually are.
No.
Usually Mike Locksley has 2 great receivers every year.
Yeah.
When it was Tyfeld and Caden Prather were the most recent ones, but like Shalik Knotts, he's just not it the same way.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Maryland, it's going to be a big offseason for them. I think it's smart of them to keep Locksley, not pay a buyout, and then and not be in this coaching carousel and just put more money into players. That's what they needed to do, because every year Purdue and Maryland, because they don't have NIL, get rated.
Yeah.
But now with revenue sharing, those schools can spend more.
Yeah.
And maybe keep their players who are better. And maybe that'll help them be a little more consistent, year in and year out as we go forward here, and be a little tougher out than Maryland has been this year. So I don't think Maryland puts up a fight. Honestly, I saw the spread at 13.5, and I thought that's too close. So I'm going to say Michigan 34, Maryland 10.
Okay, so I have 28-10.
Yeah.
So pretty right close. On. Yeah. All right, Nebraska at Penn State. And Nebraska is also not looking too great.
Not without Dylan Raiola, although TJ Lateef played well in his one game he played, in relief at quarterback. Did you see that Dylan Raiola, though, their hurt quarterback, his younger brother decommitted from Nebraska recently?
Oh, I didn't see that.
So that's some drama. Because what's going on? Because his uncle is on staff. Remember, his uncle's the offensive line coach. So you thought his brother was a shoo-in to go to Nebraska. And now he's saying he's not gonna. He's gonna look around and go somewhere else. Wow. So it does make you wonder what's going on. When we were talking about this game on We Live for Saturday, John said, I really think Nebraska has a chance. And I said, has a chance. Penn State's 4-6. But I also see what he's saying, because Penn State looked really good the last 2 weeks. Really good against Indiana, even better against Sparty.
I know.
The defense is phenomenal. Dennis Sutton is one of the best defensive ends in the Big Ten, full stop. And Katron Allen is a fantastic running back, and that offensive line is very good too. So suddenly you have that to contend with. Penn State has some hope. They can make a bowl game, so they have something to play for.
Yep.
So they have to say, it's not like they're just playing out the slate like they're going to be, they're playing to they might as well be playing to avoid relegation. Like, they have something to play for now that they played better and won a game. And I think, if Nebraska and Penn State had played a month ago, I would have picked Nebraska. But without Dylan Raiola, with Penn State suddenly hot, I don't think this bodes well for Nebraska.
Oh, no, I have Penn State.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close, but I got Penn State winning this 24-20.
I have 27-20.
27-20. Emily, we're on the same.
I know. We're right there with our score predictions today. I love it.
I think this is I think Nebraska, this is a bad draw at the wrong time. This is the time you did not want to play Penn State. They figured out that they just have to run the ball. Ethan Grunkemeyer only threw 13 passes last week, and it didn't matter. Yeah. So they're going to line up. They're going to be physical. And if there's one thing you've seen from Nebraska this year, they are not physical on the line of scrimmage, especially on defense.
Right.
But offense too, but especially defense. They are soft. And if you run right at them, they don't have an answer for it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think Penn State pulls away with this. Like you said, they have looked better these last 2 weeks. And probably the Indiana game was really surprising to me. But I mean, Indiana pulled off the win.
Barely.
And then Michigan State, I know some Michigan State fans were really hoping for the bad Penn State, so they would get a win, and then they didn't even get that. So I definitely think Penn State takes this game.
Yeah, and I do think it's an interesting the Penn State thing is fascinating to me. And okay, Nebraska, we got to talk. Nebraska supposed to be a playoff contender.
Yep.
Supposed to win 8 games at minimum. Gonna be a big, tough team everybody has to worry about. Nebraska is going to end up 7-5.
Yeah.
if they lose to Penn State, because they're not beating Iowa. No chance. No chance they're beating this Iowa team, in my opinion.
No.
So if they don't beat Penn State, they're going to go 7-5, maybe 7-6, maybe have the same record they had last year. That's not really progress.
No, it's not progress at all.
For Matt Rule, that's not what was expected.
No.
They expected far, far more. So I think I'm really tracking that. Nebraska, I think, low-key desperately needs to win this game for the trajectory of the Matt Rule era. I think this is a big game. So I think they're going to come out motivated, but I think Penn State's the better team right now.
I do too. I definitely think Penn State pulls off. I'll be kind of surprised if Nebraska ends up winning, but I'm excited for it regardless. Illinois.
Oh, yeah. It'll be a great game.
Yeah.
I love the NBC with the Fallout Boy. Here comes Saturday night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. I like it's a bop.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So Illinois at Wisconsin.
Illinois is only favored by 7.5 in this game.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand why. I know Wisconsin played tough against Washington and won, but they still only scored 13 points. Wisconsin is averaging like 12 points a game.
Right.
They aren't exceeding 13. So if you can score more than 13 points, you're going to beat Wisconsin almost assuredly.
Yeah.
Because they have an all-time inept offense. They run the ball repeatedly, even though they can't run it at all. And their quarterbacks are awful and throw the ball up for grabs. Their leading passer in their win against Washington was their punter.
I know. It was amazing.
24 yards passing. They had 40 game as a team.
Hilarious.
So, yeah, Wisconsin is historically inept. One of the worst. Their defense is pretty good, actually. Like their defensive line especially, and their run defense is pretty good. But this is a historically inept Wisconsin offense. And against a team like Illinois with Luke Altmaier, who's a great quarterback, with Hank Beatty to throw to, with not a great running game, but an okay running game, it's enough to keep you honest. And Luke Altmaier himself is really elusive, so he's hard to like sack or contain because he can just run away from you and then throw the ball downfield.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a bad matchup for Wisconsin. Like I don't see. I know 7.5 points. I don't see that at all.
Yeah,
I think this is something like Illinois 31, Wisconsin 10.
At 27-10.
27-10. There we go.
27-10. Yeah, because I agree. I mean, Wisconsin, they do still have like life on the defense, but they just really struggle offensively. And all in all, just they are not a great team. And I take that with a grain of salt because I know Oregon played them really closely, but in horrible weather conditions. So I'm just going to reiterate that here too. In horrible weather conditions, Oregon played them pretty closely. But then to kind of take a look at Wisconsin being able to pull off the win against Washington and what it took for them to get the win kind of probably says more about Washington than the overall skill of the Wisconsin team.
Says Damon Williams isn't very good on the road.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, they struggle on the road. Absolutely.
And he is a quarterback particularly. He is Jekyll and Hyde.
Right. That's a good segue to our last game, which is UW at UCLA. And for a minute there, UCLA was causing stirring things up, causing some upset, beating Penn State, beating Michigan State, really kind of looking better than they have in quite some time. But then, what was it? Their quarterback was hurt last week, right? Yeah.
So he's the whole offense.
Yeah, that makes some things rough. He should be back this week, though, right? Concussion protocol.
I have not seen that confirmed, and the Big Ten injury report doesn't come out till 2 hours before a game.
Yeah.
So this is a 9:30 kick. Whoa, 9:30 Central, 7:30 Pacific, but 9:30 Central kick.
Yeah.
True Pac-12 after dark action.
I love it. And UW's traveling, so UW has to travel to Pasadena to take on UCLA.
True, but it's not a body clock game because they're on the same, they're in the same time zone. So I feel like there's no advantage there, which makes it a little more fair. I mean, look, which Washington team shows up, right? Does Damon Williams go 16 for 19 like he did in their last win, or does he do more what he did in their last loss?
Hopefully what they did in the last loss.
Yeah,
that's what we're hoping for here.
Has been out, so I hope he comes back. If not, the backup running back was very good last week. I think Ahmed, is his name.
Right. They're dealing with a couple of injuries too. I'm not sure who UW will be getting back this week. At least last week they were dealing with quite a few.
Yeah, and I just don't know how long if Denzel Boston is out for Washington, if that's like a season-ending thing or if he's going to be back or not.
Right.
And that could make a big difference. But I mean, UCLA, once you get past Quasi Gilmer, they don't really have any decent receivers. So if you can just contain him, and like if Nico's not playing, but the thing is, even if Nico is playing, I just think Washington's the better, faster, more dynamic team. I think it's going to be hard for UCLA to contain Damon Williams. I think he's going to get his throwing it and also rushing, scrambles when plays break down and stuff like that. That's when he's at his best. So, yeah, UCLA has been a nice story. It's nice. It was nice to see them win 3 in a row, but I do think that the merry-go-round is over. They're not going to win another game, I don't think.
Yeah, I definitely don't know if they'll be USC. But for rivalry purposes, I have them winning this week because I can't have it any other way. So this is where
beating Washington.
Yeah, and I actually think they can pull it off.
Okay,
I hear you. I agree with everything you just said. So I'm not necessarily saying that's wrong. It's just I have to continue promoting this UCLA win. So I'm in UCLA's corner this weekend, and I have them beating UW 24-20. Hoping their quarterback is back, hoping Nico's back. Again, I don't know what the injuries look like for UW, but still banking on the fact that maybe even though they're not changing time zones, it kind of still rocks them a little bit, particularly Damon Williams, and they make enough mistakes and they make enough coaching mistakes to where UCLA is able to pull off. I'll even take a 3-point victory.
I mean, Damon Williams will make mistakes. Like
exactly.
if you do enough defensively, he will make mistakes. And I do think now that the problem for UCLA is now that people have seen what Jerry Neuheisel wants to do, they're having more success stopping it.
Exactly.
For those first couple weeks when UCLA was playing, that people didn't really know what they were going to do offensively, and they were kind of caught with their pants down.
Right.
And now that's not happening as much. And Nico also might be thinking about his next school and does he even want to play?
Yeah. Exactly.
Like when I saw I was like, how hurt is he? Is he hurt or is he hurt?
Right.
And he's thinking already, like, I need to stay healthy so I can get a big bag in the transfer portal.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not saying it's like looking super ideal for me, but I'm just saying I think there's a chance.
There's a chance. Hey, it's college football. There's always a chance.
Right. Absolutely.
Indiana's about to go undefeated, and they were the worst team in Big Ten history.
Yep.
For their whole existence, the worst team in Big Ten history. Yep. And now they're going to go undefeated and have a chance to win a Big Ten and a national title.
Yes.
So anything can happen in college football. That's why we love it so much. That's why we watch it. That's why we podcast like dorks.
Exactly. It's so true. So yeah, that's my final for UW at UCLA. Pretty excited for that one. Like you said, it's a night game. Everything else should be pretty much done with and over with. So can pay attention to that game and let the hate watching begin, because after this, Oregon travels up to Seattle to play their rivalry game.
Yeah, it's a big week. It's Oregon. I feel like the winner of Oregon USC is going to make the playoff and the loser isn't.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's going to be a monster one for your Ducks.
Yeah.
I will be cheering for your boys, mostly because I can't stomach USC. They're kind of they're Nebraska adjacent as fans. As a fan.
I always love it when you talk about your USC hate.
Hey, we beat them last time, so I get to say whatever I want until we play again.
This is true. Yep, absolutely. I love that for you. That's the best. That's what it is.
It is.
So,
when we pounded Nebraska this year and we don't play them for 2 years, I was like, "Ooh, this is great."
Yeah, it's perfect.
Like, perfect.
Absolutely.
And they're like, "We'd beat you if we played again." I was like, "Sucks you didn't beat us when you did play, though. Sucks you didn't beat us then."
Right. It's true. That's one of the greatest things about college football. It's the trash talking.
Yeah. And that was the best game the Gophers played all year. So it was all kind of came together.
I love it.
We'll see. Yeah. Week 13, there's always, I feel like in the penultimate week, there's always some teams that not just in the Big Ten, but nationwide that you think have to win that are absolutely going to lose. And then the whole playoff picture is going to look different going into rivalry week.
Absolutely. It's so true. Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning, Mike, talking about these upcoming games. Can you tell people where they can find you?
Yes, my podcast is We Live for Saturday. That's Saturday singular, not plural, just the one Saturday. There is a We Live for Saturdays, but they don't post as much. So we should come up first because we have, we're a little, we do better in the algorithm and post a lot more than they do. So yeah, We Live for Saturday. We cover all 18 Big Ten teams, not just the helmet schools, because we believe that every team in the Big Ten matters and that's why we care about it and that all of it's important. And so we cover all of it top to bottom. So come hang out with us. Like I said, we do a preview and a review episode every week. And then also I'm going to do a live stream on that feed for the Oregon USC game. So come if you want to come talk ball when Oregon and USC are playing. You can check me out on Twitter. I'm at AhliBobwa26. That's AHLIBOBWA26. Or you can just, or if you look under Emily's followers on Twitter, you can probably find me.
Exactly. Absolutely. And I'll be sure to post it as well. But yeah, definitely post the stream for the game because I will absolutely check that out. And awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in this morning. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel to keep up with all the awesome content that our creators are putting out there every single week.